Vladimir Putin requested to join NATO about 20 years ago. But even during the 1990s, Boris Yeltsin, the president of Russia at the time, requested the same thing. And of course, each time Russia made this appeal, America rejected them because the very purpose of NATO was to prevent Russian expansion. Now, a lot of people who don't know anything about politics, history, or economics think that NATO expansion is just as bad as Russian expansion. NATO has never once conquered a country and then annexed it into the alliance. That's not how NATO works. And please tell me any country that NATO has attacked and then has become a member of NATO. In order for a country to become a part of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, the first thing the country has to do is request to join. But then representatives from NATO and that other country's government have to have massive amounts of dialogue to come up with a membership action plan. That could be tackling government corruption, ensuring more economic stability, but the one most important thing is making sure that the government of this requesting country can manage a peaceful transfer of power, which is something Russia has not been able to do for a very long time. The most recent example of this is Vladimir Putin. He was elected in 2000 to be the president of Russia, and 24 years later, he is still the president of Russia. That's not how the election process is supposed to work. Even the Russian constitution only allowed 2 terms. And of course, Putin changed the constitution to make him president for as long as he wants to be. Oh yeah, and what happened before Vladimir Putin was president? Oh, the collapse of the Soviet Socialist Republic, which led to a great deal of corruption and economic instability. Another thing that Russian leadership just can't get out of their heads is not having an authoritarian leader who controls everything. For several centuries in Russia, before, during, and after communism, anyone who openly spoke against the Russian government would either get sent to jail or assassinated. The US is by far the most powerful country in NATO, but if they want something to happen, all 31 other countries have to be in consensus with what the United States wants. If even one country disagrees, then that measure doesn't get passed. When Sweden and Finland wanted to join NATO, every other NATO country was fine with it because they already met all the criterion. But because Hungary and Turkey refused, they had to scrap the deal until they could find a right compromise. And that is not something that Russian leadership in its current state is capable of. And the reason why Russia wanted to join NATO, in my opinion, was because Russia is terrified of China. In the late 1800s, Russia stole quite a bit of land from northeastern China. China wants it back for 2 reasons. 1, it was theirs, it belongs to them. And 2, it's very agriculturally and mineral rich. The collapse of the Soviet Union means the collapse of Moscow's ability to keep land that they shouldn't have. By the late 1990s and early 2000s, Putin saw that China's economic evolution was on the rise and they were going to dwarf Russia's. So of course, Putin wanted protection. China would never dare attack a NATO country. Putin knows this and was trying to hide under that umbrella, but he failed. It was only after his final rejection from George Bush Jr. that Putin began to take a very anti-American and anti-NATO stance. I am the Geo Hussar, and maybe, just maybe, Russia's gonna break up into a bunch of different countries in the next 10 years. Thanks for watching.